Oh, my bad.
Okay.
There we go.
It's fine. It's fine. Let's try that again. Does that sound better?
Yep.
I blame the heat stroke on that. We're all suffering heat stroke here in the building. We'll get into that in a little bit. It is 6 o'clock in the region. It is Monday. It is June 1st. It is a lot of things. It is hot. It's hot. Like, oh, it's not hot. No, it's hot in here.
Yeah, I'm wearing a hoodie because it's cold outside.
Yeah,
so.
it's cold outside, but hot in here. It's Chuck Pullen here with you on a Monday. Can you turn up my ears a little bit? So it's Monday, June 1st here on WJOB. Bob is on assignment, as they like to say. I don't know. I think he's just trying to ditch the Monday show. He's always looking for an excuse. He's like, oh, I gotta trim my beard today. I can't make it in. I'll be there on Friday. But I don't think he's even in at all this week. But just us this morning, and you know how we like to roll. I'm going to let you guys decide what we want to talk about. There's a lot going on in the world, as always. Obviously, the big news here in the region is that late night session in Illinois fails to pass a bill for the Bears Stadium. So does that mean we are going to get stuck with it? I don't know. Will they come back to session? Will they have another emergency session on top of the emergency session to pass that bill? So if they get stuck with the stadium, we'll see. But in the meantime, let's take a look at traffic and weather. Traffic surprisingly light this morning. Nothing here to report in Indiana. 8094, 65, Skyway Toll Road, all looking good on the Illinois side. 80 Bishop 4, Dan Ryan, 294, everything looking good. Everything looking good if you're heading into the city. Not much to report at the moment, but if you see anything, 219-845-1100. Good morning, Lynette. How are things outside where it's not so hot?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 57 degrees with highs of 71 and lows of 54. We're going to have a little rain early this morning, clouds breaking for some sun. And then tomorrow on Tuesday, we'll be having highs of 74 and lows of 54. It should be delightful with plenty of sunshine. Then Wednesday, we'll be having highs of 81 and lows of 59, and it should be mostly sunny.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I think the table moved. You know how I can tell? Because last week I was able to put my head right in the same spot as AI Chuck, and I can't do that this morning. So I think somebody messed with something in here. But this is what we do on Mondays. We come in, it's like, hey, are the computers working? Is the internet working? I know you guys were complaining about the stream. I just did a couple things this morning to see if that fixes it. So let us know if the stream's working any better, or kind of just describe what you're seeing and hearing on the stream.
Well, it already said it's going to be buffering.
It is. Well, are they saying that, or
no? The YouTube is saying that.
I think we're using too much internet. I think we need to buy a new prepaid card for the internet. I think that's what's going on. But it is June 1st, and the big question here on WJLB: when will Jed turn the heat off here at WJOB. So if anybody knows his number, you should just text him and be like, hey, you should turn the heat off. Why don't we all text him like at the same time? Say, Jed, turn the heat off, because apparently we're leaving the heat on this summer here at WJOB. But they don't listen to us. So if you're a guest or if you're a sponsor of WJOB, like, hey, turn the heat off. You're using my hard-earned sponsor dollars to heat a building in the middle of the summer. So send him a text. We'll see. Maybe he'll stop in today because he knows Bob's not here. But in the meantime, send him a text. Tell him to turn the heat off. We're taking your phone calls, 219-845-1100. What do you guys want to talk about? So you've got, obviously, the Illinois legislature was working late into the night, because that's what government does, late night backroom deals into the early morning, passing the largest budget in Illinois state history. Depending on who you ask, anywhere between 56 and 59 billion, but what's a couple billion among friends? Massive tax increases for the state of Illinois, taxing everything, crypto. If you like to play, Kalshi, you like to do those, Mark. Basically anything that can be taxed. Here's what they do. You come up with a new way to like spend money. Like, hey, I'm going to buy crypto. I'm going to bet on, what the weather is going to be. And they're like, hey, we're going to tax that. And so Illinois passing the largest budget in history. One of the things they couldn't come to an agreement on was the funding mechanism for the Bear Stadium. They had the original plan that failed, and then they came up with this other plan at the last minute that basically let a city create a taxing authority. And so the idea was, and again, weird way of doing this, with the idea being that the Bears would build their own stadium and then give it to government. So the Bears, so follow me on this, the Bears would pay for the means of production, as we like to say in economics, and then give it to government. There's a word for that. And if any of you know what that is, you can call in and we talk about it. But again, weird funding mechanism. You build it. If you build it, we will take it. You will build it, give it to us so that you don't pay taxes on it. Now, I don't know if that's an option at my house, because again, like I said, this is a deal that nobody else would get. I can't build a house and go, here, I'm going to give it to the town of St. John. You're going to let me live in it, and I'm not going to pay taxes on it. You can't build a factory anywhere. Tell me, go to your local government and say, hey, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to build a factory. I'm going to give it to you for $1, and I'm not going to pay taxes on it. And you're going to give me $1 billion. Find that deal. Find me that deal, because I will build a factory if anybody else got that deal. More protests out in New Jersey this weekend at Delaney Hall in Newark. Violent protests. You had sort of the Antifa folk, and then the Proud Boys showed up. State police, tear gas, curfews, arrests, riots, chips, dips, chains, whips, all kinds of fun. So we still got that going on. I'm curious people's thoughts on this. I was following this 250 concert, whatever you call it. Jim said not today. You're not turning the heat off today, or you're not coming in today, Jim? Let me text him. Here, I'm going to text him live on the radio here. Any chance you can stop by and turn the heat off today? ? There we go. Put it out there. We'll see. He's going to message me and go, I just got 12 messages saying to turn the heat off. But yeah, this 250 concert's interesting. I think again, one of those stories where what the media is telling you, what's happening. I think it's interesting because you have all these artists saying, well, we were misinformed about what this concert was. And then finally, Bret Michaels comes out and goes, oh, by the way, yeah, they threatened my family and threatened to kill me. So I decided it was best to bow out. So it wasn't, morals. Okay. So somebody's coming tomorrow. So tomorrow the heat will be turned off. So June 2nd, the heat will be turned off here on WJOB. It'll probably be turned on as like in the fall. Like, it's August 1st. We're going to turn the heat back on again, just in case. So, but we got one more day. It will be, we should open like a sauna. You should get those coals and get some towels and like offer people to come in and, the WJOB sauna. You can watch the show. You can do a hot bath. That'd be great. You said we got phone calls? Mm-hmm. Okay. Jim said to open the front door. Oh, he said open the front door because the heat is on. So we're going to turn the heat on and open the front. He said, just open the front door. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I just announced on the radio, the WJLB front door wide open. Stop on by. Bring your dirt bike MX. We're just going to leave the front door open. Just come on in, grab a headset, join us live on the radio. What? This is great. Let's take some phone calls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Attorney General Rokita state of Indiana, was recently on News Nation. News Nation is the channel that's kind of centrist, and he talked at length about fraud, dealing with fraud, and he indicated they were making heavy use of AI to deal to uncover fraud, and he indicated as an example that they found a doc who had prescribed a urine test, which normally costs $10 to $20, and he was billing for $200 for Medicaid type thing. And what do you think about applying AI to things like that?
So, Walt, here becomes the question that, as I like to say, and this is something, again, this is something that you understand well, is that we inherently, with, even reading through the new Illinois bill, a lot of it is to, as we said during COVID, it was sort of, you had funding mechanisms, you had new pools of money with no guardrails, right? If we go back to like what was happening with the Leering centers in Minnesota, or you go back to the hospice fraud in California, government creates these pools of money. And a lot of what you're seeing in Illinois overnight was, we're going to tax everything and we're going to use it for supplemental food. We're going to use it for healthcare. All of these things that we know just have rampant fraud, right? So, I mean, again, that's government in a nutshell. We're going to tax you more and we're going to put it into a pool where we know there's rampant fraud. And oh, by the way, if you try to uncover that fraud, like Nick Shirley, we're going to create a bill that says you can't expose the fraud, right? So, I mean, the question is, Walt, when you have a government that's creating these pools with such blatant fraud, I mean, one of the things that we heard in Minnesota was that all the investigators, the guys that worked for those agencies, they were constantly saying, oh, hey, I think I've uncovered this fraud ring. I think I've uncovered, fake daycare centers. What happened to them? They all got fired, right? Instead of actually going, hey, here's an award. Good job. You saved us money. They go, no, you're fired. You're fired for doing your job. So, I mean, the question is, even if government exposes fraud, and obviously, a state like Indiana is a little different, even if the AI or whoever, the first question is, Walt, why is AI doing the job of government? Why, government does so little as it is when it comes to things like this. Why is it AI's job, and how much are we going to spend implementing AI to do the job government's supposed to do? I mean, again, when fraud is that blatant, you have somebody getting tens of millions of dollars for a Leering center, and there's no evidence they even have kids there. You don't need AI to expose the obvious, right? I mean, that becomes the question: is the fraud is so blatant, if you haven't caught it by now, what is AI going to do? But I mean, and to your point, though, I mean, I think AI can help identify issues where you say, hey, everybody's billing us for this test and you don't really need to do it. But the end of the day is, Walt, you can have all the data in the world, but if the people that are analyzing that data are just, incompetent or corrupt or, just inept, what are they going to do? So thanks, AI. Thanks for the data. Maybe we'll do something about it. Maybe we won't. I mean, that's the bottom line, is, do we have a government that wants to actually deal with the fraud, or do they just want to pass the buck? I mean, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, do you think if AI exposes fraud, will government, like a government like California or Minnesota, will they do anything about it? Or will they just go, oh, let's blame the guy who wrote the AI? How dare you?
Well, it's a matter of will. And I remember I was flying back from Alaska, and there was a guy sitting next to me who was a Alaskan state legislator, and there was big news about excessive spending and so forth. And I said to him, what are you guys going to be doing about excessive spending? And he said, well, what do you expect us to do? I said,
raise taxes. What do you think we're going to do? We'll raise
do
taxes.
Your job.
Right, do your job.
Do your job. Maybe it's a matter of, well, how do we do that? I said, well, it's a matter of will, isn't it? And at the end of the day,
if a legislator is telling you, how do I do my job? You should have retorted, maybe you shouldn't be doing the job if you don't know what the job is. I mean, I think that's the problem you have. I mean, you look at like a place like Chicago or Illinois, you have essentially activists getting elected as legislators. And I mean, you get to the point where it's clear that some of these people don't even understand what their job is. I mean, the fact that you have to explain to somebody in an airplane, hey, you know that your job is supposed to be, and maybe they don't talk about this. I don't know how long ago this was, but the idea that I don't think government talks about the fiscal responsibility aspect anymore. They look at it as, I'm here to advocate for people, i.e., raise more money in taxes and then spend more money on people. I mean, looking at, I don't know if you've been reading anything overnight in Illinois. I mean, everything revolves around more taxes and more programs. How does, at the end of the day, all that's going to do is that's going to help home sales in Dyer and St. John and Crown Point, right? I mean, again, this idea that all we're going to do is we're going to tax people more that have money and spend money, and we're going to put more money into programs. That money's not going to make it to the people that it was intended for. We're going to have more corruption. We're going to have more fraud. And then the cycle will continue next year. You'll have a bigger budget and more programs and more fraud, and nobody will do anything about it. I mean, that's the cycle. That's the cycle until the people decide to break it. In the case of Illinois, it's been 50 years. I don't think they ever will. So, I mean, I guess, again, I applaud people like Attorney General, Rokita, but I mean, what are we going to do with that information? I don't know. We obviously, I don't know if you've been following, Walt, this story out of the Secretary of State. We had Rob Kendall on last week, and he talked about this idea that the Secretary of State's office had somebody who was at the very least a non-citizen, possibly illegal, working in the office, like the number, 2 or 3 person at the Secretary of State's office. And nobody caught. It's like, the Secretary of State, with all of the information they have and all the things that they do, and they have a non-citizen working in the office and potentially having access to all of our data. I mean, again, you don't need AI to tell you that, do a background check before you hire somebody for a major office like that, right? I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. Hey, can I see your driver's license and just make sure you're legal before I hire you and give you access to the state computer system?
That's racist.
Well, right, exactly.
That's racist.
Right. And yet, when we say, hey, I have concerns about election integrity, even in a state like Indiana, they go, oh, no, how dare you? It's like, well, I've seen who has access to the data. Walt, what are your thoughts? I mean, I want to go back to this Chicago Bears thing, because I know a lot of people are curious about this. I mean, what does this tell you when even the state of Illinois, who historically, again, can't wait to spend money, even they can't come to an agreement on this Bears deal? And we may essentially, in my mind, get stuck with the Bears because Illinois couldn't come to a deal. But that should tell the people of Indiana something. If even Illinois didn't want to spend the money on this, and yet we did, that should tell you, give you some idea of the caliber of deal that this is, right? I mean, what are your thoughts, Walt?
Well, this goes back to the 90s when there was a big push by the local powers that be to build a Bears stadium.
The Munster Bears,
they
right?
left out the fact that the Bears never agreed to play there, even though you build the stadium.
Right.
And the thing that eventually killed it was, besides there was some grassroots activists like myself who were opposed to it, but then I think the thing that made the big difference was the Bucknusky family. They stepped in and they put their financial power behind opposition, and they engaged a university professor who is an expert in terms of sports economics, and he had a point of view with the backing of the Bucknuskis. The Times couldn't ignore it anymore, and basically the guy said that there's not a lot of economic benefit to a sports stadium.
Right.
It's great for the high rollers, and they have their premium boxes and with champagne and hors d'oeuvres and so forth. But he indicated, as far as the average taxpayer, all cost and no benefit.
Right. I mean, we are the ones, we will get stuck with another tax increase, a food and beverage tax. And as I've mentioned here on these airwaves, a good portion of the region couldn't possibly afford. They'd have to spend a month salary to go to a Bears game. It's unaffordable for most average families. And yet they're going to get stuck with a tax increase and, could potentially lose their homes and deal with the traffic, any number of other things. You're right. I mean, there's no benefit to the average person. Maybe you get a job selling peanuts. Okay, cool. You get a job selling peanuts, whatever it is, 17 Sundays a year. Cool. I mean, that's the benefit. Maybe you get to work at the concession stand selling hot dogs. That's our benefit, but you can't afford to go, but maybe you get a job selling hot dogs part-time.
Yep.
Well, I mean, what do you think about, so one of my arguments on this is that you should never be in a situation where government is able to play favorites. And my point that I've been saying is, the Bears would get this deal where essentially we would pay for the stadium. They wouldn't pay taxes. There's no scenario where I get to build a factory here in the region and then, you build me the factory and I don't pay taxes on it, right? I mean, there's no scenario where any average, in the private sector, and nobody else would get this kind of a deal. And that becomes the question is, how does government get to sort of pick and choose who gets these sweetheart deals? Nobody else would get this kind of deal where I'd get, you'd build me my factory and give me a tax abatement for 30 years. Right. I mean, that's sort of the thing is that why is it that the Bears get this kind of deal and yet no other business owner would even fathom asking for it? Right. We pay the taxes and they get the sweetheart deals. That's what I don't understand about this.
Well, you're not supposed to understand.
Right. Yeah, that's the goal. Just enjoy it and enjoy the bread and circuses. Right.
It's just in knocking around grassroots politics, one conclusion I came to was that the people who know what they're talking about don't have the power.
Right.
And the people who've got the power don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah, that's politics in a nutshell, right?
And if you if you do your research and you know the facts and you try to present it, they're going to fire you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, you'll be fired, you'll be canceled, you'll be any number of things because how dare you? How dare you put on your Hammond Bears shirt and enjoy the show. Don't ask questions. Don't ask why you have yet another tax at the bottom of your receipt when you go out to dinner, which is now becoming increasingly unaffordable for the average family, which means that, small mom and pop restaurants will continue to fail because people can't afford to dine out anymore. But just shut up and watch your Bears. So, hey, Walt, we do have to take a break. I appreciate your call. I appreciate your wisdom. Hope all is going well with you. We're taking your calls here at 219-845-1100. It's just us today. Are we going to 8 today? What do you want to go till? 8, 8:30, noon, whatever?
We're the only show today, so.
We can go till noon. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, we'll be back. We'll be back with more after this.
For over 100 years, Roofers Local 26 has been keeping Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
Introducing Powers Health, a health system with a new name and a strong legacy of caring for families in our community. One with a tradition of advanced specialized services and a vision for the future. One with a commitment to medical excellence and compassionate care. Everything we do, everything we believe, powers health.
When your home needs help, the last thing you need is a faceless corporation or sales-driven franchise. At Myers Companies, we've been proudly local since 1951, born and raised right here in Northwest Indiana. We're family-owned and operated, built on trust, hard work, and integrity. And because we're family, we treat you like family. Your comfort and safety always come first. For HVAC, plumbing, and electrical done right, choose Myers Companies. Local, family-owned, here for your family.
Ogren Insurance, Hammond's oldest family-owned independent insurance agency, now in its third generation providing clients in the Chicago area with products from quality insurance companies to handle your every need. Regardless of driving history, Ogren Insurance can find the right coverage for you at competitive prices. To learn more about the insurance solutions and services we offer throughout Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or visit our website, ogreninsurance.com. We're located at 6929 Homan Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. Do business locally with someone you know and trust.
6:23 in the region. Let's take a look at traffic and weather. Traffic looking just fantastic this morning. Nothing to report at the moment. 8094, 65 Skyway Toll Road, all looking good. On the Illinois side, 80 Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan. Little slowdown Dan Ryan into the circle, usual spot. Other than that, 294 looking good. Everything else looking good. on the area roadways. How's weather?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 54 degrees with highs of 71 and lows of 54. We're going to have a little rain early this morning and then some clouds breaking for some sun. Tomorrow on Tuesday we'll be having highs of 74 and lows of 54. We'll be having plenty of sunshine. And then on Wednesday we'll be having highs of 81 and lows of 59. And it should be mostly sunny.
Fantastic. Thank you. We got any phone calls at the moment?
We got one.
We got one? Okay, let's take it. It's just me this morning. Just me, just you guys.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy, man. How are you this morning?
Yeah, you too. Ken Michaels, nice to meet you.
Uh-oh,
Yeah.
Ken.
Yeah, I think,
Ken. It's your turn, Ken. Good morning. Is he at a diner? Is that what it sounds like? It sounds like he's having breakfast. Ken, are you having breakfast? Let's have breakfast with Ken while we talk. I hope that's Ken. I don't know who it is. But, okay, so we'll just keep him up. Is he up? Just keep
Oh, I hung up already.
You hung up on him? Okay. I was going to keep him up. I wanted to wait to see if it took like 5 or 10 minutes for him to realize that it was his turn. But, okay, well, when he calls back, put him back through. See if that's the same number. If it is, let me know, because I want to ask him where he was. It sounds like he was having breakfast. Ask him about how many taxes were at the bottom of his receipt. So the other thing I wanted to get to today is I want to talk a little bit about, obviously, we are celebrating our country's 250th anniversary this July 4th. As expected, just all sorts of controversy about, UFC and the White House lawn, this Freedom 250 concert, all this kind of stuff. I'm curious. I mean, I wasn't around for the bicentennial 1976. I collect the quarters. If you guys ever see, they're still in circulation, the 1976 quarters. I think they're neat. So I collect those. It seemed like, just looking at the pictures, everything was just red, white, and blue. Like every water tower, every train, everything was just painted red, white, and blue for the bicentennial. It looked like it was just a great time, and everybody was just sort of coming together, celebrating America. What a time to be alive. And yet 50 years later, we couldn't be more divided. So I wanted to talk about this because I find this interesting, just again, sort of just the divisiveness in politics. So there was this Freedom 250 concert planned for June, and many other performers have pulled out. And so obviously everybody was trying to say, well, they were misled about it. But then Bret Michaels finally comes out and exposes what really happened. So Bret Michaels said, let's see. So he announced his plans to exit the 16-day bash, which will take place at the National Lawn, citing safety concerns. He said, when the opportunity was originally presented to my team, it was described as a celebration of our country through music and a chance to honor our veterans. But then he said later on, unfortunately, what was presented to us as a celebration of our country has evolved into something much more divisive than what I agreed to be part of. Concerns have also been raised regarding the safety of my fans, band, crew, family, and myself, including threats that are completely unfounded and unforgivable. Because of that, I have made the difficult decision to step away from this performance. So again, it became this issue of you want to just sort of, the hope was we would just sort of, take some time off, stop fighting, stop arguing, and just celebrate the fact that the country's 250 years old, this great experiment of ours. But of course that didn't happen. And, when you have people, some heavy hitters, Milli Vanilli and CNC Music Factory, some of the greats, and then they started dropping out. But Bret Michaels finally got to the heart of it. He said that we were being threatened. And is that the new reality? He said, not only being threatened, when you're in an industry like that, you have to expect that you could be canceled, right? That's sort of the thing, is that it's not only about a safety issue. It's also I'm part of an industry that is very much anti-Trump. And so I don't want to get canceled. Kind of like what Walt was saying earlier. In response, because obviously we can't just, all come together and have one concert. So now a bunch of sort of musicians on the left, like Bruce Springsteen, Tom Morello, who is it, Green Day, or whoever else, I don't even know. They're all coming together. They're going to have a response concert. They're going to have a protest music festival called the Power to the People Festival, but will take place on October the 3rd in Maryland. And Springsteen said the Gestapo tactics of this president and this administration will not stand here. This American tragedy can only be stopped by the American people. There is no one coming to save us. We've got to do it ourselves. So join us and let's fight for the America that we love. Do you hear me, Washington? So you essentially have, again, this is something that I've been talking about for years on these airwaves, the two realities, the two economies. You have, the Trump Republican concert over here, and then you have the leftist anti-Trump, anti-Gestapo concert over here. We can't just take a day off and all come together and have a concert. No, we have to have separate but equal concerts, right? And that's the reality. That's the reality that we've essentially have decided that that's how we're going to do things around here. We're just going to have our own. We're going to have our own concerts. We're going to do our own thing. We're not going to come together. We're not going to take a day off and just celebrate this country because everything has to be divisive. Everything has to be politics. And obviously, this concert is geared in October, specifically a month before the crucial midterm elections. Basically, just that's the goal. Is obviously that side, that group, wants to make sure that they win the midterm elections, and they think they're saving the world from the Hitler devil. Just like the protests that are happening in New Jersey over the weekend. It was interesting because I saw one of the interviews I saw was with a young man, I believe was Antifa. He essentially said, I'm here because, ICE is rounding up American citizens and throwing them in these prisons. That was his reality. His reality is that there are guys with, brown shirts grabbing people off the street and throwing them into detention centers. And that's why he's out there protesting. Is he right? Is he wrong? I don't know. Let's get into that a little bit because that's another big story that's happening. Protests continued yesterday past a nightly curfew near Delaney Hall, an ICE facility in Newark, over alleged inhumane conditions of the detainees inside. Several protesters were arrested after refusing to leave. A group of individuals who had come to the protest armed with helmets, shields, or gas masks deliberately refused to comply with orders to leave the area and were arrested. So essentially, you've got this sort of an Antifa group, just like what's happening here in Chicagoland and many other ICE facilities. They're surrounding the facility. They have been threatening ICE, threatening to storm the castle. State police in New Jersey came. There was outbreaks of violence. There was tear gas. There was arrests. Proud Boys showed up over the weekend as well. And so the state police have called for a curfew. The curfew will continue nightly from 9 to 6 until further notice. So again, you have a state like New Jersey. The governor, Mikey Sherrill, said Sunday that she was working with DHS to demand to restore family visitation of the facilities. Basically, they're not having visitation because of the violence. But again, you have this weird situation where you have ICE working in a state like New Jersey. You have a state governor that's very far left. And, it sort of becomes this issue of you've got federal government doing something that the state doesn't want them in their state happening. And so you have this clash of ideologies. And then at the end of the day, New Jersey did the right thing by allowing the state police to come in and protect the ICE agents. But now the Antifa groups are attacking the governor for enforcing law, for basically saying, no, you can't riot in the streets. You can't shut down streets. You can't set fires. You can't attack ICE agents. And now the governor is under fire, and now her state police are under fire because they are, trying to enforce law and trying to keep people from being violent and violent protests. So, good for them. I'm as surprised as anybody. But did you say we got the caller? Okay, let's take this call, see if it's our guy calling back. So good morning. It's not. Oh, it's somebody different. Well, hopefully he calls back because I'm curious where he was.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Fine. Let's put a disclaimer here, okay?
Sure.
Because I think on the airways, sometimes when you don't do a disclaimer, that means the management is approving that those opinions, okay? I know in WLTH, that's what they have to do, a disclaimer. Because a lot of times things go over this air. It's just terrible, and sometimes against the FCC rules. But anyway, let me go.
No, as long as I don't, there's 7 words I can't say on the radio. Other than that, as long as I do the legal ID at the top of the hour, we can pretty much do what we want. So,
well, sometimes what I'm saying, it hurts sponsors. Sponsors say, well, I'm not going to do business with certain WLTH. I just use the WLTH because evidently Marion William, who's the owner of WLTH, I'm not going to do business. People do that, so they
right.
always
but I also would hope, I would also hope that even regardless of politics here on WJOB, I think we do a good job of keeping things balanced. Every day we've got a different host with a different opinion, but also I think most of our... Go ahead.
I'm not saying that you don't do. You I'm sure you do. I'm not trying to criticize you. I'm done. But I basically want to say, you mentioned something about the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of the Proud Boys?
Well, okay, so again, my opinion is the story. So what happened is you had Antifa outside of this facility in Newark, and so the Proud Boys came. And my point being, when you have two groups with vastly different ideologies showing up in the same place, what is the concern for me as the average citizen? What is my concern about what's going to happen when you have the Proud Boys on one side and Antifa on the other, and they're all hanging out outside of an ICE facility and tensions are high? What's the concern? That they are going to clash? There's going to be violence? Go ahead.
Can you be the Proud Boys? I want to give you a breakdown of the Proud Boys, okay? The Patriots, as Donald Trump called them. They were part of the insurrection, I believe. Okay, they were part of the insurrection. And it bothers me sometimes when we say that Proud Boys, they are patriots. These are part of. Now, this is what Donald Trump said. I guess he gave them that name, the Proud Boys. They do the work.
No, I think Enrique Tarrio named himself that before Trump was. Before Trump did that.
Okay.
But again, a Cuban-born man, by the way, Cuban. But
we won't blame everything.
Well, okay. So here, let's ask this question though, Ron, because again, so
okay, because I'm going.
You're going somewhere. So I'm going to ask this question though. But you have again, everything to me is always sort of the yin and yang of energy here. So you've got the Proud Boys on one side, you've got Antifa on the other, right? Now you would say that the Proud Boys and Antifa aren't equal, right? I mean, to me, as an outsider, I'd say you have two sides, far right, far left, on the ideology scale, coming together. And I'm not taking sides at all. I didn't call them patriots. I said, I literally read a CNN article where I said Antifa was there, then the Proud Boys showed up and the state police showed up, and that's what happened. So, I mean, again, nobody's taking sides here. I'm saying I'm concerned about the continued violence that's occurring in the streets of this country when the Proud Boys and Antifa show up in the same place at the same time, and then the state police have to tear gas them, right? That's my concern.
Well, if you are, yesterday, let me back up here. Do you ever watch Meet the Press?
No, I never watch any of those shows. I don't.
Okay. Let me just tell you, they had Mike Pence on there yesterday.
Okay.
And it was terrible. I mean, I feel sorry for him kissing AWS. Okay, I just say that.
Okay.
Kissing Trump AWS. Okay. I say I can't believe that this is a guy. If the security had not come in, he probably would not be alive today. Because he basically was doing what the Constitution said. When he said we wouldn't find we have to do this. He said he called the former vice president, which was from Indiana. I'm trying to was vice president under that guy. And he asked him. He said, "Well, you got to do what the Constitution says do," and that's why he did that. And at the same time, actually, if that had been Black BLM. Doing what insurrection did, there'd have been a bloodbath in thing. There would be no situation right now. Right now, that Donald Trump right now is trying to give these people who stormed the Capitol that they were done wrong. They were done wrong. So he asked them to give them all.
Let me ask a question. Ron. When you look at,
you know where I'm going.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. There are major cities, Chicago, New York, LA, for instance. They have these massive funds where they spend millions of dollars every year because of, police brutality, because they violated people's rights and things like that. So again, you could say, this is the question, Ron, that I always, this is the entire reason I come on these airwaves, Ron.
Now, I'm coming at you. Go ahead.
But here's my point though, Ron. I mean, you look at it this way. Here's what I want Ron to do. I want Ron to be upset about this fund for these guys, but I also want you to be upset by the idea that cities like Chicago and New York spend tens of millions of dollars every year settling lawsuits and things like that because people's essentially, historically black, Hispanic minorities in major cities, democratically controlled cities like New York and Chicago, spend tens of millions of dollars a year every year settling lawsuits because of police brutality and because people's rights were violated. The bigger picture is we should be asking, why are people's rights being violated regardless of if they're Republican or Democrat? That's the bigger question. Why is this happening? Go ahead. That's my question to you.
Okay. If it's BLM and any Antifa, all those people, I don't agree with that either. I don't agree with that. It's terrible. And you'll never hear me say it was all right. I think sometimes violence, because of people sometimes feel that they're being untreated wrongly, which they still have no reason to be. Let's use an example. Let's go to Minnesota where George Floyd, where they had his knee on his neck, and the guy said, "I can't breathe." Do you think he's in jail? I guess if he wasn't, he may have been given a pardon.
No, Derek Chauvin is still in jail, and there's talk about a pardon. But again, so I mean, I
doesn't he? See, that's what I'm talking about. They talk, and if they want to pardon him, Donald Trump can do that.
But here, let's.
I'm just saying.
I understand that.
Guy, hold on.
Go ahead.
Here's a guy say, "I can't breathe." I mean, you had a guy in handcuffs. In other words, he was saying, "Kill him." That's what they were saying.
Okay, let's real quick. I want to ask you a question because again,
I know you don't agree with me.
No, I have this. Okay, we agree that the mayor of Chicago is Brandon Johnson, an African American gentleman. Correct? We agree. We agree that J.B. Pritzker is a Democrat that runs the state of Illinois, right? We agree that I think that the city legislature is a good, a good variety of different people and things like that. So again, there's no Donald Trump running the city of Chicago. We can agree on that, right? We can agree that Brandon Johnson is African American. He's a Democrat, right? So here, if you had to guess, just ballpark number. Guess how much the city of Chicago has spent this year on resolving lawsuits because of police brutality. Just pick a number in your mind. What's the most egregious number you can come up with that the city of Chicago spends to settle these lawsuits against the police? Just pick a number.
Now, let me just tell you.
Pick a number. Just pick a number. It's a big number. I'll tell you that. And again, this is the city of Chicago. This is not Trump. This is not a Republican city. This is a Democratic city. How much have they spent on police brutality lawsuits in the city? Just guess. Just take a guess. Give me a number.
Oh, I could give you one example.
No, give me a number. Give me a number. It's a dollar amount. Give me a number.
I don't have an exact number.
Just guess. You will never guess. You will never guess.
I don't know. I don't go into looking and seeing how much they spend. Maybe a lot of people. I don't know. Probably too much.
Right. So again, this is a democratically controlled city with an African American man as the mayor. In 2026, here, it's important that you hear this. In 2026, the city of Chicago, this was in April. This is an article from Channel 11, WTTW, in April. Just 4 months into the year, Chicago has spent $175 million. That could have been used for any number of things, helping children, feeding children. The city of Chicago spent $175 million to resolve 200 lawsuits. The city's budget for this year alone, they budgeted $82 million. They expect to spend $280 million. So the city of Chicago, again, reminding you, controlled by Brandon Johnson, an African-American man, is spending over $200 million on. So again, you can talk about Trump all you want, but that's a lot of money.
There were a lot.
Because
there were a lot of police brutality in Chicago. When you shoot a man in the back 16 times, I think his name was Donald McDonald, whatever, 16 times in the back. That is terrible.
But can we agree that this?
I'm just telling you what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you, sir. What I'm saying to you. Let's say in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm a former Arkansas. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is the governor. Little Rock is one of the worst in the world, if you ask me, in terms of crime. And why they didn't send nobody in the Little Rock, Arkansas? So I'm just saying you got a governor who's Huckabee Sanders, who's right now, and Little Rock, they didn't send nobody in there. Why didn't I just send? Because it's a Republican who's the governor there, and they don't want anybody's embarrassment. You don't know that, but I know that. I'm from Arkansas.
No, I understand, but I'm also saying,
Arkansas.
but you can't just say it's Republicans, it's Trump. It's happening in a democratically controlled city and state as well. So instead of saying, well, it's Trump, we need to talk about why are places like Chicago spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year on police brutality lawsuits? Why it doesn't? I mean, that's my question. It doesn't matter if he's a Republican or Democrat or black or white. Why is it happening? So you're outraged that Trump is spending $1 billion, but Chicago is going to spend $1 billion in the next 5 to 10 years as well. Why is that happening? And why that money could be better spent on helping people? Right? Again, we just talked about all the new taxes that Illinois is raising on the average people.
Okay.
Right.
Well, let me, because I know some people want to call in. Let me. I started out by saying I was watching on Meet the Press, former Vice President Pence. I felt sorry for Pence. They asked him, as he, what about Trump and what he's doing? He said, well, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? Here's a man that you, because you did. He followed the Constitution. He said we didn't lose this election. It was stolen, and it caused violence. What I'm saying, it caused violence. And Donald Trump right now has no use for him, so he's trying to kiss his rear end now. And right now, but he's out there. He came on Meet the Press yesterday, Mike Pence. All the things he say, what happened, and he did what the call. But again, everybody around the country right now they're really mad at Pence. Hang Pence. He followed the Constitution, and these same people. You mean to tell me we're going to let those people out of jail? You know, well, they've already been let out of jail. We're going to say now we owe them some money. You owe some money. You trying to overthrow the government and because you say when you win, there was no corruption, but when you lose, there's massive corruption in the Democrats. And I'm just simply saying it is time out for this kind of stuff. And I understand that there are people who are strong. Trump can do no wrong. You know that. I don't know of any president in the history of this country have been every day there's something he's saying, something stupid he should say, and stuff like that, and basically the Proud Boys. Why are we so? You know, I'm just saying. And so, but Pence right now, I'm sure that I know the president have security for life. You know, I don't know about the vice president right now, but I know he's keeping his mouth shut and he Meet the Press. And the first thing he did was go at Biden. Why would he go at Biden? Biden didn't do nothing to him. You know, I'm saying he goes at. Why would he? Why? But so he said that. And in concluding, because I know this line is hot. I know people are ready to come at me.
Yeah, we do need to take a break. So finish up.
But no. But I'm just saying that right now, Donald Trump. It's all about him. It's all about Donald Trump. If you don't go along with Donald Trump right now, he's winning in these states, certain states like that. And nobody's talking about Little Rock, Arkansas. Well, Huckabee Sanders is the governor. Nobody's talking about that because it's one of his friends running and basically running the government there in Little Rock and of course the state of Arkansas.
Okay.
So right now, a lot of companies are moving to Little Rock. A lot of companies. As a matter of fact, they're talking about the
maybe the Bears will move there.
Steel mills going. Huh?
Maybe the Bears can move there, so we don't get stuck paying for it. Hey, Ron, we do have to take a break, but go ahead, finish up, and then we got to take a break. You got rid of him? Oh, you dumped Ron?
My bad.
Okay. Listen, I was going to tell him something super important. Okay, I don't know if Ron watches the stream. Ron, okay, this little you can't zoom in, but this is a 9-volt battery. It looks like here. Thank you. Here, zoom in. It looks like that. We had this discussion with Trucker Mike a couple weeks ago. Now we're going to have it with Ron. There, I'll hold it right there. That, my friend, is a 9-volt battery. Go to the store and buy several of those today. Go stop what you're doing. Go to the store. Go to Walgreens. Go to Home Depot. Buy these little square-looking rectangular batteries. Go buy several of them and fix that smoke detector, right? This is a weird thing. This is a weird thing that people call the radio and the smoke detector is chirping in the background, and I can't even focus on what the man's saying because all I hear is every 13 seconds, chirp, chirp, chirp. Like, how do you live with this? Trucker Mike called in for like 2 or 3 weeks. Every time he called, like, Trucker Mike, go get a battery. Ron, go buy a here's what we'll do. Since apparently we're just going to leave the front door open, I have a whole bunch of these. I'm just going to leave these on the front porch of WJLB. If you call and your smoke detector is chirping during my show, we will hang up on you until you stop by, pick up one of these, fix your smoke detector, and then you have permission to call back. We'll be back with more Summer of Chuckin' or whatever the heck we're calling this show here on WJLB.
Summer's coming, and Deep River Water Park is taking applications for all positions. We have jobs both inside and out for all ages that offer great benefits. Free admission on your day off for you and a friend. Free uniforms, paid training, make new friends, flexible scheduling, and more. To apply, just go to deepriverwaterpark.com and you're on your way to a summer of rewarding fun.
Deep River Water Park. It's simply splash-tastic.
From the gas in your car to the heat in your home and the roads that you drive on, our work powers daily life. We are USW Local 71, the proud men and women of the Whiting Refinery. We're not just refinery workers. We're your friends and neighbors, raising our families here, shopping in the same stores, and cheering in the same stands. USW Local 71, powering the region because we are the region.
Life's biggest challenges don't come with a warning. When legal issues arise, whether it's a car accident, personal injury, criminal charge, or representing you before municipal boards, you need a trusted advocate on your side. At Westland & Bennett, we listen first because your story matters. We provide strategic, personalized legal solutions to protect your rights, your freedom, and your future. Peace of mind starts with a conversation. Call 219-440-7550 today for a free consultation.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strachan Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
6:50 here in the region. This is Battery Talk here on a Monday. That's what we're going to do. Lynette, you have a job. As soon as somebody calls and you hear that chirp, just hang up on them.
I don't notice it because I think mine does the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly. This is a weird, if I would go back to school and get my PhD just to write a senior thesis on the smoke detector chirp. And so here, there are two kinds of people in that. Here, I'm going to tell you a story. One day, say maybe 10 years ago now, one day I'm in bed. It's like 2 a.m, right? And what happens? I hear the chirp. Literally 2 a.m. I hear the chirp outside my bedroom door in the hallway. I tried to. I said, you can sleep through this. You can deal with this in the morning, right? Did not happen. So there I am, 2 a.m, digging through the junk drawer, looking for a 9-volt battery, looking for a chair, going up in the hallway. Again, not 6 months later. Immediately, the second that damn thing started chirping at 2:30 in the morning, I got up, got on a chair, replaced the battery because I was not going to be able to move forward with my life until that little battery was replaced in the smoke detector in my hallway. My wife was somewhere the other day and she said, "You have ruined me." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I'm at somebody's house and their smoke detector is chirping and I just want to drive to Walgreens and buy a battery and fix it for them because you have me so well trained that when that thing starts chirping, I notice it and I want to replace it." This is the thing. It's like, there were these guys years ago. They're like, "Hey, we're going to invent the smoke detector. It's going to save lives. But when the battery dies, it needs to do something so that people know to replace the battery." Like, hey, let's have it make this annoying chirping noise every 13 seconds. You're like, oh, that should be plenty. Every 13 seconds in your home should be enough to get you to get off the couch, go buy a battery, and replace it. Nobody will be able to ignore that. It will drive them mad. And yet, I assume that the majority of this country lives. There was a guy one time, they asked him about it. He's like, I don't know, my hallway chirps. It's always been like that. Like, no, my friend, that thing on the wall is chirping. Go replace the battery. Like, this is like, Jordan Peterson's always like, make your bed. This is going to be my Chuck Pullen thing. Change your smoke detector battery. I will literally, I carry them with me. And if I meet you guys, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do branded Spring Chuckin 9-volt batteries. Bob, are you listening on your drive? We're going to put wraps on 9-volt batteries. This 9-volt battery brought to you by WJOB, Summer of Chuck. And that, okay. I'm sorry. No, but I mean, honestly, like how do you guys do that? Like, it drives me, like, as soon as Trucker Mike calls and the thing starts chirping in the background, that's all I hear. That's all I can't even hear Mike. It's like tunnel vision. I'm just transported to the smoke detector in Trucker Mike's hallway or in Ron's hallway chirping. And I'm just like, I don't know how
just white noise.
Right. I don't know how you guys do that. Is anybody calling? Are we still on the radio? Did I have a stroke? Let's say calls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. If I hear your smoke detector, I swear to God, I will stop this show and drive to your house. Good morning, caller.
Beep. Beep.
I know we have your phone number. We have your number on file. I'm coming to your house.
Listen. Here's how to improve the show, okay? First of all, never, ever let Deedlo on the air, okay? Number one. Number two, if either one of those nitwits call named Trucker Mike or particularly Mailbox, if they haven't made a point in like the first 12 seconds, hang up, okay? Tell Matlock that the word is not axed, it's ask.
Okay.
A-S-K, Mailbox. You got that? Write it down, look it up. It's not A-X-E-D. I don't know where the hell you went to school and what military send you a pension check. I can't even imagine. But stop using stupidity, okay? Go back to grade school. The word is ask, okay? So they get 20 seconds max. I'll maybe revise my call. That's how
Should
you
we start
make
that
the
right?
show better.
We start that right now, or after your
Yeah,
call?
goodbye.
Well, and as I was going to say, you do get a pass on the smoke detector, because if people that are too short to reach a smoke detector, call me. I'll come to your house and I'll change your smoke detector for you, Mad Mac. I know it's high up there and you hate getting up on the ladder. So let's take our next caller. Good morning, caller, on the air.
Good morning, Chuck. I hope you're doing well.
I am. It depends. Am I going to hear a smoke detector in 13 seconds?
No,
I feel like you're a responsible adult.
Regularly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually.
Go
ahead.
I'll be honest with you. The summer solstice is coming on. That's usually when I change my battery. So, like, it could die in the next few days. You know, that's how I do time change. I keep the batteries high and I just do it proactively for time change, just because I don't want to wake up at 2 a.m. to the chirp. Although I think now that they upgraded to the Nest system, I don't think it'll do that anymore. But yeah, no, I can't. I couldn't possibly do that. Go ahead. The chirping is triggering you. Does this have anything to do with the, libertarians' favorite congressman being beat last week? I haven't heard you speak on the radio. I haven't listened.
Yeah.
To it.
I was offended by that long before Thomas Massey. But so, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, again, it's regardless of, whether you're a Trumper or not, if you're Democrat or Republican. I mean, this idea that you have a guy, Massey had like a 99% on the Liberty score. At the end of the day, he was a good dude. He was a good dude that came to Washington. He was like Mr. Smith, came to Washington, regardless of it was Trump or Biden or whoever. He just said, hey, I'm here to do the right thing. And, again, it's interesting because, as I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene pointed out, everybody who pushed to release the Epstein list, they've all been under attack. I mean, again, that to me, at the end of the day, I put everything aside and look at it like that, right?
Trump is doing exactly what I said 20 years ago the Republicans had to do in order to beat back these ridiculous fantasy-riddled Democrats. And Can I just point out that every time I hear Ron Matlock on these airwaves, I hear Billy Joel, sometimes a fantasy floating around in my head.
Well, it's interesting
Sometimes
that he
a
grabbed
fantasy,
on.
It's not the real thing.
Right, but it's interesting that he grabbed onto the Proud Boys because, again, this is a story. This is not me picking sides.
Yeah.
This is me saying, here's what happened. There was Antifa outside of Delaney Hall, Newark, New Jersey. State police showed up and the Proud Boys showed up. Like, that's the story. That's not me picking sides or saying anybody to patron. Like, this is the story. This is what happened.
He's still spreading the narrative that, you know, January 6th was the biggest insurrection in history. Yeah, all these meemaws walking between the velvet ropes was just so incredibly dangerous to this country.
Well, I mean, even we
That's
talked
never
about, there was the story
danger.
about the woman in Alaska. There was a case of mistaken identity. Somebody said there was a woman in Alaska was there, and I forget the story. Like, she had the same coat or something. They broke down her door and arrested her in the middle of the night, and she wasn't even there.
And then he says, I mean, the huevos on this guy, they must be the size of his watermelons, because he's like, what did Biden do to Trump? Like 47 different lawsuits.
Right.
Like, they were politically trying to destroy him. So yeah, dude, what a fantasy you live in. I wish I had this. I wish I could do drugs that gave me that kind of fantasy world.
Well, but
That would
again,
be
this
amazing.
idea that you're outraged about the whatever it is, the $1 billion from the Trump administration. But again, that's 5 years in Chicago. Chicago does the exact same thing. New York does the exact same thing. Los Angeles does the exact same thing, that they spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year on these police lawsuits, on these brutality and all these, all these violations. And yet we're not outraged by that. There's very few people that even know that Chicago spends $200 million a year settling police brutality lawsuits.
Back to the Massey Trump thing, the dynamic.
Mhm.
Okay. 20 years ago, what was the dynamic of Democrats? If you didn't get in line, they would primary you, right? They basically drove Evan Bayh out of the Democratic Party because he was like a moderate, a very strong moderate.
Well,
very
and
likable,
what's happening to Fetterman right
conservative
now
in a
today,
way.
though? What's happening to Fetterman?
Yeah, still happening. If you don't get in line with the Democrats, they will kill your political candidate.
Okay, but also, did Trump not do the same thing to people like Rand Paul? I mean, that's the thing, is that at the end of the day, I respect people like Massey and I'm coming around on Fetterman again, a guy that has the courage to
Chuck,
go to.
I think in terms of war and military, I don't know why, but that's how I think. You're not gonna win a battle if your opponent has armored plated tanks and you're still driving cavalry. Okay, like, it's not going to happen. You've got to fight fire with fire, and that's what Trump has decided. You want to have all these like principles and all that kind of stuff. Great, have your principles, but when it comes time to vote with your party, you'll vote with your party.
Okay,
That's
okay,
what he's trying to say.
but here's the thing. Here's where I hit the off ramp with my Republican friends, is that okay. It is 7:00 in the region. You're listening to AM 1230, 104.7 FM, beautiful Hammond, Indiana. I have a hard time with the idea that, okay, let me explain this. One of the things I've come to realize in the world, whether you're a congressman or you're just, an average guy, is that my belief, okay, even we talk about our congressman and the fact that he votes with his party. I believe at the end of the day that there are things that both parties do that are so absurd that everybody that has a say in the matter says, this is absurd, I don't agree with this. But every single one of them is afraid to be the guy, is afraid to be the Thomas Massey, is afraid to be the John Fetterman. And so everybody goes, so you understand where I'm going with this, is that somebody comes up with a bad idea. And one of the things that I really don't understand about Washington is there are people that write bills and nobody who votes on them has read them. And so who wrote the bill? How do you read? And the people voting on it aren't reading a 2,000 or a 5,000 page bill. And so this becomes a thing, is that There are people that we don't know, these nameless, faceless people that are writing bills, and all of the people that are voting on them are afraid to vote against them. And nobody has the courage like a Fetterman or a Massey to stand up and go, no, look, I know we're all Republicans. I don't agree with this. And if one guy does it, maybe another guy will do it. Maybe another guy will do it. And then we'll stop letting either party push this nonsense on the American people. That's where I'm at. But the people that are the first guy to stand up, but go ahead.
But I will not apologize for backing the party that wants to lock down our borders, actually regulate immigration, and not with the party that wants to give free teeth.
Well, but again, so look at Massey and Trump. They voted to Massey supported Trump 90+% of the time, 95. So again, it's like, hey, you're with us 95% of the time, but it's not 100, so we have to get rid of you, right? I mean, that's the thing. Is you're basically saying you cannot disagree with me even once, otherwise we're getting rid of you. That's the policies that Washington is putting forth. With Fetterman's the same way. Fetterman says, hey, this one time I'm going to vote my conscience. Like, how dare you? We're going to primary.
Libertarians have put themselves in a very bad position by advocating for open borders. Would you
I don't disagree. So here's again, as a libertarian, I'm allowed to disagree with my party and they're not going to kick me out. Maybe they will. I don't know. I can disagree with my party on open borders and I do that publicly. Do you know why, Mott? Here, let me tell you why. Because I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I'm going to say many libertarians that I've met do not agree with the open borders policy. Okay. So follow me on this. Libertarians in general that I've met do not agree with this policy. So what do we need to do? I need to get a whole bunch of libertarians to come to have the courage to speak out against our party and say, hey, we no longer agree with the open borders policy, that plank of our party, right? Same idea. But
man.
See, I mean, again, that's, to me, there are things that I can disagree with my party, but that's what we do. We get together and we get pizza and beer and we argue politics and we don't cancel each other. We don't kick each other out of the party.
When we're trying to keep non-citizens from voting.
We all agree on that. We all agree that that's a problem that needs to be dealt with.
Massey didn't agree with that. Massey was opposed to that.
Well, okay, but again, he was, and if you go back to what, and again, I don't know the specifics of that, but a lot of times he'll say, look at the bill. It's not about the headline of the bill. It's about the meat that's 2,000 pages in, that there are all of these things that get put into these bills that I don't agree with. So at the end of the day, you could say this is the Save the Children bill, but at the bottom of it is $1 billion in waste. You go, look, I can't vote for that because I actually read the bill, which is the problem, is that nobody's reading the bills. And you don't know what's in it. The headline is illegal voting, but there's billions of dollars for God knows what in the middle.
We do know what's in the bills. It's being written by lobbyists who wrote them specifically for their own industries, so that they can benefit.
So if I went to, people tell me all the time, like, you should go to Washington. I'm like, no, because I see what they do to Fetterman and Massey, but then I would vote no on everything because I would actually read the bill. And if I don't have time to read the bill, I'd say, no, I'm not voting until I could read it. You just printed a 2,000 page bill on my printer 5 minutes before the vote. No, I'm not voting. Not voting until I could read it. But that's the problem, is that's what they do. And I forget who it was.
Chuck, I respect you. I think you're a fine man, but, politics makes strange bedfellows. I know I'm being cliche as hell this morning, but it's pretty true. I mean, so you have to do certain things. And yes, you get a little dirty in politics, but you vote with the president, you vote with the leader of the party, and there's no doubt in anyone's mind anymore that Trump is the leader of this party, and Pence can go on all the talk shows he wants and cry about it, but his people were voted out here, the senators, and they're losing all over the place. I actually am seeing an ad almost every day now on YouTube for Senator Young, who's not even up for election for 2 more years, or is it even more than that? Maybe 4 years. I can't recall. But he's already scared about this,
right?
Because he's not a Trump Republican. So I'm sure he's worried about his position here too. But I'm going to let you go.
I appreciate it.
Can call in and have their fire alarms chirp.
I've been listening. Not a single chirp. I am proud of you. You do not need a Summer of Chuck and 9-volt battery. So let's take a break. We'll be back with more after this.
It's gold rush time at Albert's. Oh, looky here! Oh, those are gonna fetch that your pretty penny?
Well, who's gonna buy them from us?
I'll buy that gold from you.
What did you say?
I said I'll buy that gold from you, and I'll give you top dollar.
That sounds great.
It's gold rush time. We will see you at Alco's.
Fox Point's free summer Wednesday night concert series kicks off June 3rd with 16 candles. As June heats up, dance to Rico, Boy Band Night, and the Chicago Experience. Then join us for our first free Friday Night Lights concert featuring Fearless, a Taylor Swift tribute, and Beyond the Blonde on June 26th. Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is just minutes from I-8094 and parking is free. Visit foxpoint.org for our full schedule. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
Are you sausage curious?
Who's ready for Polish?
Big Frank Sausage has the very best Polish food in the region.
You had a mouthful of Big Frank sausage?
We have a full bar, dine-in, carry-out, delivery, and catering available.
I've had a mouthful of Big Frank sausage.
I've got a mouthful of Big Frank sausage.
219-378-9556. Smacznego i na zdrowie.
Who's ready for Polish?
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad.
Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention.
Phones. I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, business manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
7:09 here in the region. It is Monday, June the 1st. You are here. It is, I think it's still spring chucking for a few more weeks. Bob is out on assignment. Let's take a look at traffic and weather. Traffic, we're getting into that summer season where traffic is just light and you just get to sail wherever you're going. Everybody just seems to stay home for the summer. Traffic here in Indiana, 80, 94, 65, Skyway, Toll Road, everything looking fantastic on the Illinois side. Bishop Ford, 80, Dan Ryan, everything looking good. You got the usual slowdown. Maybe Dan Ryan, once you hit the Skyway, little tap of the brakes into downtown, usual traffic there. 294 looking good, everything looking good on the Illinois side. How about the weather?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 57 degrees with highs of 71 and lows of 54. We're going to have a little rain early this morning with clouds breaking for some sun. Then tomorrow and Tuesday we'll be having highs of 74 and lows of 54 with plenty of sunshine. And then Wednesday we'll be having highs of 81 and lows of 59 and should be mostly sunny.
We got a text from the station manager. When you get a text from the station manager, that either means you're in trouble or you have to read something on the air. But she wants me to read this on the air. She says that she thinks I'm suffering from misophonia. Misophonia? What do you think? That's a misophonia? I think it's misophonia.
I think so, yeah.
Misophonia is a condition where certain sounds trigger a strong emotional reaction, such as irritation, anger, anxiety, or disgust. So at first I was like, I hope she's talking about the chirp and not me being on the radio, but it could be either way. So, oh, there she goes. Common triggers are chewing, tapping, but a periodic smoke detector could also be a trigger. So for me, I've got two triggers. One is the smoke detector, and the other one, as a good libertarian, is, but Chuck, who will build the roads? Whenever I say taxation is theft, the proper response is, but who will build the roads? And then I'm triggered. So those are the two things. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll have Summer of Chuck branded 9-volt batteries, and I will just hand them out to people whenever you call in and there's a chirp. So, but again, like that's part of, like, to me, like that's a baseline. Like if I don't know, like I could spend another hour ranting about smoke detectors, but again, like, make your bed, change your smoke detector. Like that's all we expect from you as an adult. Like, change your smoke detector, and that's it. So why don't we take some calls? 219-845-1100. What's on your mind? Before we do, let's do a quick update on the Bears situation. So obviously there was a late night session in Illinois. They have passed a $56 billion budget in the state of Illinois, massive new taxes on everything, breathing taxes, chewing gum taxes, no smoke detector chirping tax. How about $100 fine every time your smoke detector chirps, right? Why not that? But the Bears released so basically there was a couple proposals on the table for this, for a bill that would allow, obviously the goal here for the Bears is they want their cake and they want to eat it too. They want everybody to pay for everything while they reap the benefits. The state of Illinois did not pass the Hail Mary, which was a stadium authority. I mean, imagine the idea that they go, hey, we're going to build the stadium. We're going to give it to you. We're going to give it to Arlington Heights so that we don't have to pay taxes on it. Again, I'm going to call like the town today. I'm going to go, hey, I'm going to give you my house and I want to live in it tax free for the rest of my life. Is that cool with you? Nobody else would get this kind of deal. The Bears released a statement saying after we will finalize our evaluation of both Arlington Heights and Hammond and remain on the late spring, early summer timeline that we have previously communicated. We will provide an update when we have a decision to share. So again, it is getting dangerously close to a situation where Indiana gets stuck with the stadium and the $1 billion bill that comes along with it, which means you dining out will cost you even more, but you still won't be able to afford a ticket. Let's take some calls. Good morning, caller. You were on the air.
Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning, sir. I will be listening intently to make sure that your smoke detector battery has been replaced.
Yeah, well, it's good shape. I'd like to talk about fraud. And you bringing up lawsuits.
And the Bears?
Everybody lawsuits.
Yeah, lawsuits. Go ahead.
Well, the Bears, I don't want to talk about. I'm sick of the Bears. I'm sick of that Iran because, we got a peace deal going. No, not now. We got a peace deal going now. No, we don't. Do we have it or not? Just shut your stupid mouth up, get the war over, or finish what you started. Just like fraud. Okay, somebody goes to a wholesale place, buys produce, parks on an empty lot, okay, sells that produce, makes a profit, makes money on that, and they do not claim it on their taxes. Is that fraud?
It would be you were picking the wrong guy if you're saying avoiding taxes. But okay, so let's take a step.
Yeah, they're avoiding taxes because they went to wholesale, bought product, went on an empty lot to sell it, and not reporting it as an income because they're making money, and they're cheating a retail grocery store from selling that product. They're cheating that grocery store.
Okay. So here, let's take it a step further, and I want to get your thoughts on this because I've realized this over the last couple of weeks. So there are food trucks, for instance. So one of the ideas of food trucks was, obviously you can go where the people are. You can go to a festival, you can go wherever. But what I'm seeing more and more here in the area is there are food trucks that are in the same place every day. They pick an abandoned, restaurant along Calumet Avenue, and the food truck's in the same spot every day, so you know where they are. So again, the genius of this is you get to be a food truck, which means you don't have to pay property taxes. You essentially get the benefits of being a restaurant, like a restaurant stand, like not a sit-down restaurant, but like a carry-out kind of restaurant. You get the benefits of being a carry-out restaurant without all of the rules and regulations. And so the first thing that you would say is, well, that seems like fraud. That seems unfair. Chicago dealt with this quite a bit. The idea that, like a taco truck could set up in front of a Mexican place, say, well, that's not fair because they get to sell things cheaper because they don't have all of the costs involved in having a brick and mortar restaurant. So Chicago has these zones. Like if you go to like a Willis Tower, for instance, all the food trucks are there because they're not allowed to park in front of a restaurant. So that becomes the question, though, is you say, well, is that fraud or is that somebody trying to start a restaurant without jumping through all of the hoops of government. And again, this would be one of my libertarian arguments is the more rules and regulations and fees that government puts on you to start a restaurant, you're like, hey, what if I just start a food truck? Then I don't have to worry about all that nonsense. I don't have to worry about all those hoops. I just have to, I have to pass the health inspection, which is fine. And then I get a food truck and I can sell my food and I don't have to spend $1 million on jumping through hoops. The regulations of this community, I can just run a food truck and park wherever, and I don't have to worry about the regulations, right? So is that fraud, or is that just somebody taking advantage of a situation?
Yeah. But now let's talk about the lawsuits. Okay, I go and get a roast beef sandwich. It's a roast beef sandwich. If I go get fish sandwich or any kind of things, but when a big burger place sold how many billions of hamburgers, I go in there and I ask, I want a hamburger. I want a ham burger. And they say, we don't have them. So can I sue them for false advertising? Because they says that they sold so many billion hamburgers. They should just say, we sold so many burgers, not hamburgers, because I want a hamburger. What is a hamburger?
Well, and I had the same, we're talking about the same chain. I had issues with them many years ago because of the pink slime issue, where I don't even consider what they were selling were hamburgers. And I didn't go there for many years because I didn't know what they were trying to feed me. And, it's very difficult when we live in this world where, again, going back to this idea that a company can get away with something like that. They can have this, who knows what, reconstituted into a product that looks like a hamburger and sell it to you, and I don't know what I'm eating. So, at the end of the day, this is why I say I'd rather go to a local family-owned restaurant where I know the owner is a local person and they actually buy real meat and serve it to me, and they're not serving me pink slime that's been processed, in a factory. But
yeah, I see that so much. I get a laugh at that because I'm thinking, whoever named burger hamburger, a hot dog is a hot dog. Meat, you get pork steak, butt roast, pork chops, spare ribs. You're
gonna make me hungry if you keep naming them things off.
Yeah, but that's about it. I was just curious, I was just curious about, whoever thought of, because like you say, local restaurants is where I like to go.
Absolutely.
Because I know I'm getting real food. But you go to these fast food ones that are nationwide and so big in their pants, like you say, you really don't know what you're
getting. I call them the microwave steak restaurants too, which is why I don't like going to them, because I know how they process their food, and their goal is quantity and speed and not quality, right? At the end of the day, that's the thing, is you're basically going and getting a microwave steak. But hey, we do have to take a break. I appreciate the call. I appreciate that I don't hear any chirping in the background, that you replaced your smoke detector for me. Thank you for that.
But no.
Go ahead.
One thing, if I would get a canary and it chirps, then would you get mad?
That'd be fine. No, I like birds. Birds are fine. Unless you get like a parrot, and then the parrot just starts chirping every 13 seconds, mimicking your smoke detector, then we have a problem. But
all right, well, everybody out there, have a nice day and be safe.
I appreciate it. So
that wasn't me.
That wasn't you. Okay. No, that's fine.
He's gone now, by the way.
I understand. You want to take a break?
Yep.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be back with more after this.
Plumbers Local 210 is building the future, and we're looking for service plumbers to join our team. Our training center invests nearly $500,000 every year to make sure our members are the best in the industry. From a 5-year apprenticeship and an associate degree at Ivy Tech to ongoing certifications in safety and new technology, our plumbers are trained for excellence. Every member is drug tested and licensed for your safety and peace of mind. When you need plumbing work done, make sure you ask for the license. It's your right to ask.
Before Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, we were being charged various maintenance fees and various check writing fees for all of our accounts. And with Notre Dame, we don't have that. We have that true community partnership. We get interest based on all of our parish and school accounts, and the interest rate is really second to none.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad.
Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention. Phones.
I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
For over 140 years, the Central Midwest Carpenters have built our communities in Northwest Indiana. Are you ready to join the effort? We have long-term work, competitive pay, and the best benefits in the industry. We pride ourselves on innovative training and commitment to worksite safety. Earn as you learn as an apprentice. A solid career built on a solid legacy. For more info, go to carpenters.com.
7:23 here in the region. Some people are texting me going, what were you guys talking about? We're talking about hamburgers. And I was looking for, it was funny. I'm looking for there was a lawsuit that McDonald's, I'm trying to find it. There was a lawsuit in Europe. I'm trying to think of when that was. Was that in 2019? So basically McDonald's was trying to copyright hamburgers and the Big Mac in Europe, and Europe was like, hey, you did not invent the hamburger. It comes from Hamburg, Germany. Thanks to Dave for sending that to me, because it was called the Hamburg steak that came to America by European immigrants. So again, hamburger comes from Hamburg, Germany, but then McDonald's tried to sue in Europe and said, hey, we would like to copyright hamburgers. They're like, no, you can't, because you didn't invent it. They came from here. But again, good for them for trying. 7:24 in the region. What do you guys want to talk about? We're going to be here for, I don't know, maybe another hour or so, depending. We're talking about the Bears. The Illinois legislature failed to pass a bill to create a path forward for the Bears to build their new stadium in Arlington Heights. That session technically ended at midnight, but again, because Illinois does what it wants, they went into the wee hours of the morning, passed a massive $56 billion budget, new taxes on all sorts of things, and funding mechanism, a bill for the Bears was not one of them. The Bears say, hey, we're still on a timeline to make a decision, but no decision as of yet. So what does that mean? We're getting closer. We're getting closer to getting stuck with this thing, and we will see if it is the benefit, if it is the pride and joy, if it is the gem of the region that you all believe it will be, or will it be just another massive boondoggle? We will see. Let's take some calls. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Okay, this idea that you're going to, MAGA, the whole idea of MAGA, Make America Great Again, was based on the idea that not business as usual, not party bosses dictating what the platform is going to be. Remember when Biden, when they ran the primaries, and Joe Biden's administration this last go around, where they actually didn't even run a primary.
Yeah, they basically nominated Kamala over.
Candidate.
Yeah, they picked Kamala over Zoom, right. And they basically picked Kamala because that was the only way they can keep that money. The money that was donated to the campaign was to nominate the vice president. So they basically had right. No choice but to pick her on a Zoom session. Yes, I agree.
Now you got Trump, who spent most of his life being a Democrat. doing the same kind of malarkey. You know, get in line or you're gone. I'm in a primary. You know, the MAGA was not built on this. Trump's whole base, he's basically stabbed his whole base in the back. And the idea that I've got to support Trump because the Democrats are lunatics, you know, hear the old saying, two wrongs don't make a right. You know, and I would contend it's not even Trump's party, it's Miriam Adelson's party. When you come up with like $10 million to primary a congressman in Kentucky, you know, and then on top of that, supporting an unpopular war that didn't need to be started, AIPAC money, and that Tom Massey, like Massey said, was probably one of the only congressmen not taking AIPAC money.
Right. He had like a 99% freedom score. All these things. I mean, all these things that made him a great congressman. And I mean, even coming out and saying, hey, look, the Epstein list has to come out. We have to pass this bill. Everybody that was pushing for the Epstein list to be released has been attacked and primaried. But I mean, okay, so this becomes this bigger question. And I mean, even like you look at it from a leadership role. There's really two kinds of leaders in the world. There's the people that say, hey, look, you know, I'm going to be the manager. You know, I'm the president. I'm basically the most powerful manager in the world. But I could admit that I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I don't have all the answers. So what I want to do is I want to be a good leader, and I want to surround myself with people smarter than me and put them in a room and say, hey, let's have discussions. Let's disagree. Let's debate things, and let's come to the best conclusion that would be the most beneficial for everybody. Again, I think, you know, for government. Oh, did we lose him?
We lost connection.
Are we even on the air anymore? I think we're still on the radio. But okay, so I apologize. I was just texting Jim about our internet issues. Put that on. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe the heat shorted out the internet. But I apologize. Call back. But I mean, again, so there's sort of like what I was getting to is this sort of idea of two types of leaders. There's the guy who says it's my way or the highway. I'm in charge. I'm the guy. Do what I say. I didn't mean to. I'm channeling Trump while I do this. I'm the guy. I'm the smartest. Like no. You say, look, it's my way or the highway, no discussion. Or you come in and go, look, I'm going to surround myself with people smarter than me, and we're going to debate things, and you're going to tell me why, you know, I'm going to tell you my idea. You're going to tell me why I'm right or wrong. We're going to debate it. You're going to try to convince me that there's a better way to go. And at the end of the day, we're going to sit here, we're going to order a pizza, and we're going to stay here till late in the night. We're going to come up with the best solution, or in the case of government, we're going to come up with the best, most cost-effective solution that benefits the people. And when we get to that point where we've all agreed this is the best solution, we're going to vote on it, we're going to pass it, and then we're going to get on to the next thing. My issue with government in a nutshell, regardless if it's Trump on that level, or your governor, your mayor, whatever, we don't do that anymore. We don't say, hey, let's elect a leader who wants to have debate and discussion. We elect a guy who says it's my way or the highway. It's my way or we primary you. And now we've got both parties, both sides. Massey, it's our way or we get rid of you. Fetterman, it's our way or we get rid of you. That's the new politics, is no discussion, no debate. Our way or the highway. And that's unfortunate, because you will never get the best solution that way if one man or one small group is making the decisions for everybody. You're not getting the full picture. You're not getting other opinions. You're getting this very narrow, this is my opinion, here's what we're doing, and there's no outside debate, right? I mean, that's the problem. So do we have our calls back?
Yeah.
Caller, are you there? We got anybody there? Jed there?
Yeah. I wanted to call back.
Yeah, I apologize. The phone hung up on you. So yeah, go ahead. So I was just talking about the leadership. I was talking about the idea that, you know, the my way or the highway kind of leaders, they're never going to come up with the best solution because they don't want anybody else to give them their opinion. They don't want to hear other opinions. They just want to say, here's my opinion. Here's how we're doing it. That's it. End of discussion.
Right. I don't want to hear this argument that we got to support Trump because the Democrats are even crazier than some of the stuff he's doing. But MAGA was not built on it. MAGA was a rational idea that we're going to get away from the idea of party bosses, monolith governance. We're going to get back to the ideas of that this country was founded on. And it wasn't founded on the party boss dictating to the rest of the party to vote my way. I don't care what you think. The reason these people are in Congress, they're supposed to represent their districts. They're supposed to have independent minds. They're not supposed to be going along with a party boss, a party platform. And the idea that Trump is going to war with dissidents in his own party, this is anybody in MAGA that has, an IQ over like room temperature is not going to support that kind of an idea. That's what we're trying to get away from. I've been living just about my entire life under that kind of an idea, especially somebody that grew up in Chicago. And this is the whole idea of getting away from that. And if Trump and his AIPAC backers are going to be trying to support the protecting a pedophile honeypot operation run by Israel in an unpopular war that was basically driven by Israel, he's got another thing coming. I don't care if the Democrats win or not, because guess what? Either one of those scenarios, we're running our country by AIPAC, or we got a bunch of left-wing Marxist lunatics on the other side. I don't want nothing to do with either one of them.
Well, okay, but that becomes the problem, though, is that my opinion is, my thought is, most people agree with you. The majority of people, 60% plus, agree with you, but for some reason, that mentality, that opinion of yours, that opinion of ours is not making its way up the chain to Washington, right? So why is that?
That's too bad. Yeah, I don't care. And guess what? If either side wins, hey, a pox on both of them. I don't want nothing to do with either one of them. And I don't. As far as hearing this argument, well, if you sit home, well, the other side's going to win, and you're going to be sorry. I'm already sorry.
Right, you're sorry no matter what. Right, I was like, I'm already sorry, and I'm going to be sorry. Right, I mean, even look at Illinois. I mean, they overnight passed the biggest budget in history, massive new tax increases on everything. But imagine that basically their spending is frozen. Like you're spending more money, but you're not getting any new services. I use this example all the time. My wife's from New Jersey, and I go to New Jersey. New Jersey, for those of you that have never been, most of New Jersey looks very much like Indiana. So I go to New Jersey and I go, hey, this looks a lot like where I'm from. The only difference is your taxes are twice as high as mine. You don't have golden streets. Your garbage doesn't get picked up more than mine. You don't have any more services than I have in Indiana, but your taxes are twice as much. Explain that to me. Explain to me what you're getting for double the tax, right? I mean, that's always my argument with my wife about like going back there. It's like you're spending twice as much and not getting anything else for your dollar. So why even spend it, right? That's the thing. It's like, well, what are you getting? The average homeowner in New Jersey, what are you getting for spending twice as much in property taxes, spending twice as much in all of your taxes? You have the highest, Illinois and New Jersey, neck and neck for the highest taxes in the country. And yet New Jersey does not have any more services than Indiana. And if they do, it's just going into a black hole of fraud, waste, and abuse. So, why spend it?
I heard a good factoid over the weekend on Trump. This whole idea that the Biden administration was solely responsible for this extra $15 trillion in debt we've got, or whatever that was actually not on him. But Trump did that in his first administration, right before he left office.
He spent $9 trillion in the right. So I mean, again, but he spent $9 trillion, I think, in the first one. Somebody said the other day he's responsible for like $12.5 trillion. We recently hit $39 trillion in debt, $1 trillion in debt service. Trump is, but again, here's the point though. Every president in modern history has outspent the last. So this idea that either party is fiscally conservative, each president spends more than the last, and the next guy, whether he's a Democrat or Republican, will probably outspend Trump. And that's the reality. That's the path that we're on. That is the death spiral of spending that this country is on, and nobody wants to do anything about it. I was listening to something the other day. They were talking about Social Security. There is only about 7 years left in Social Security to be able to fully fund Social Security, and something will have to happen. We have 7 years to decide what to do, and nobody's going to do anything because both sides are afraid to be the one who says, hey, we should do something about this. So what's going to happen is we're not going to do anything for 7 years, and then one day they're going to go, oh, hey, we're out of money. We probably should do something about that. And we've known about this for decades, and nobody's going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, 2 points in what you just said. One thing, I wish 320 million Americans were able to hear that interview Tulsi Gabbard had on Sean Ryan the other day.
Oh, yeah.
She talked about the way Washington really works.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with Mr. Smith goes to Washington, pal.
No, we mentioned that last week. Let's mention that again real quick, because again, I really take a few minutes out of your day, go find, because it's cut up. You can watch the full interview, but Sean Ryan does amazing stuff. Tulsi Gabbard was on Sean Ryan. She was talking about how as soon as she got to Washington, they started treating her different. They said, you don't have to wait in line for a drink anymore. Everybody wanted to, praise her, say how great she was and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, that was the thing. And she said, look, luckily I came to Washington, with my morals intact, and I managed to keep it that way. But she said, I can see how you get to Washington and everybody says how great you are and you get sucked into it. Right. But it's a great interview for anybody who doesn't understand how Washington works.
Right.
It's very succinct.
The other point I wish people would listen to is Trump pardoned Jonathan Pollard, the Israeli spy.
Yeah.
That did as much damage as anybody in history to our country. Not only did he pardon him, he was welcomed home to Israel as a hero. And I think Pollard and a bunch of these other Likudniks have said recently now that the United States is done. They're basically using us as cannon fodder to create the Greater Israel Project, and that they're telling people of Jewish heritage around the world, come home to Israel. The U.S. is done. We're going to build our empire on their bones. So the minute they're done with us, they could give a rip what happens to us. Miriam Adelson is pumping all this money in for the Greater Israel Project. It's got nothing to do with Make America Great Again. So when they spend $10 million for a congressional race in Kentucky, now you know why.
Completely agree. And again, people say, well, it's a race in Kentucky. Why should it affect me? I mean, again, you hit it right there. This idea that we'd have millions of dollars of dark money. I mean, what did that race end up costing? I mean, like in the tens of millions of dollars, I forget. A presidential race is now into the billions of dollars. Again, ask yourself why people would, or even look at J.B. Pritzker. How much did he spend to win his election? Why would you spend tens of millions or potentially billions of dollars to win a race? Ask yourself why it's that expensive. Why is it worth that much? So, hey, appreciate the call.
And I think,
go ahead.
One more thing. I think Jonathan Pollard said the other day, the spy that Trump released, to show his gratitude, he said the other day that maybe Israel should use one of their nukes to nuke an American target if they can't get what they want out of us. That's the thanks you get from these kind of people.
Yeah, I mean, again, I appreciate the call. This is why I stay away from geopolitical politics. I mean, it's always seemed to me that the more we get involved, the bigger the mess we make. I mean, when you look at the Middle East, when you look at any of these issues, I mean, that was sort of the joke between, with Israel, Palestine. It's like, Israel attacking Palestine is our tax dollars, and then Palestine attacking Israel also our tax dollars. So, I mean, same kind of idea is somehow we manage to meddle in all this, and who's paying for it? All these people that come to me, when you're outraged by you're outraged by what Trump's doing, you're outraged by ICE or any of these things. Where's that money coming from? Just ask yourself that. Like you're the one paying for this, and yet nobody wants to talk about reform. Nobody wants to talk about, the people that want the most government, the people that get outraged by what Trump is doing. You're paying into that system. It's your taxes that are paying for it. So why don't we talk about that aspect of it? Why don't we? I mean, and I feel the same way, regardless of who's in the White House. I'm like, how is my money being used on these things? How is it my problem, and why is it my money? That's what you should be asking yourself. And if 300 million Americans ask themselves that, maybe we'd go, hey, I don't care who's in charge. I don't want my money going to these things. And so I'm going to vote for a congressman who, instead of saying, I'm going to vote my party wants me to do this, they're going to go and say, hey, my constituents, not fans of this. I'm voting against it. But then he'll just get primaried. They'll spend tens of millions of dollars of dark money and primary him. Why don't we take a break? We'll be back with more after this.
Are you searching for a college where you belong? Calumet College of St. Joseph wants to know you and give you the support you need to succeed. Are you worried about how you'll pay for your degree? 95% of our students receive financial aid, including scholarships and grants. Need some extra help with your classes? You'll benefit from our small class sizes, free tutoring, internship planning, faculty mentors, and so much more. Come experience our accepting, supportive college family for yourself. Schedule your campus visit and apply at ccsj.edu.
Enjoy the taste of summer at the Farmers Market at Fox Point. Every Tuesday from 9 to 1, shop locally grown fresh produce, delicious baked goods, artisanal treats, and local culinary creations. Just minutes from I-8094, the Farmers Market at Fox Point in Lansing, Illinois is a perfect spot to hear acoustic musicians, stretch with morning yoga, and enjoy community fun throughout the season. To see all vendors and entertainment, visit foxpoint.org. That's point with an E, foxpoint.org.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Strachan Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
We've had some cars run into the barrier wall, not paying attention. They were on their phone.
Texting, scrolling. Yeah, it's bad. Most often they be on their phones or they're just not paying attention. They can cause a crash.
We could stand on the side of the road and watch every other vehicle looking down into their lap as they're passing us. You know what they're looking at. They're looking at their phone.
Phones. On their phones, not paying attention. Phones.
I'm not a mathematician, but I say probably about 80% of the people who pass me are on their telephones.
No call, text, or video is worth putting yourself or a road worker in danger. When driving through construction, LIUNA members ask you for your sake and ours.
Slow down, stay off your phone, please. Be aware where we're at, where the cone zones are at.
Stay off your phones and buckle up and drive safe.
We're not asking for much.
This is Brian Short, Business Manager for the Indiana Laborers District Council. Everyone deserves a safe place to work. Do your part in the cone zone. Slow down, save a life. We're all in this together.
A message from Laborers International Union of North America and affiliated locals.
743 in the region. We do have some traffic to talk about, so let's get into that. 80 westbound at Thornton Quarry. So it's 80 westbound or 294 north, whatever you want to call it. 80 westbound at the quarry. There is an accident that's blocking the 3 left lanes at the quarry. It has westbound traffic backed up all the way to the state line, possibly Calumet Avenue. So if you are 80 westbound, if you're trying to get on the Bishop Ford, you're going to hit some traffic leading to the Bishop Ford. But if you're trying to get towards the Joliet area, you're trying to get on 294 westbound, you are going to hit some major traffic, state line to Thornton Quarry. So if you see that, let us know what's going on out there. Other than that, here in Indiana, 8094, 65, Skyway Toll Road, everything looking good on the Indiana side. Bishop Ford, a little slow into the Dan Ryan getting heavy. State Skyway on in to downtown. So Dan Ryan heavy, 80 westbound heavy. Once you get past that accident at Thornton Quarry, you should have smooth sailing if you're heading to 294, heading to the airports, anything like that. Once you get past Thornton Quarry, everything is smooth sailing, but you will hit major traffic, 80 westbound, Thornton Quarry, basically state line to Thornton Quarry. Let's take a look at weather.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 61 degrees with highs of 71 and lows of 54. We're going to have some clouds breaking for some sun. Then tomorrow and Tuesday we'll be having highs of 74 and lows of 54. Plenty of sunshine. And then Wednesday we'll be having highs of 81 and lows of 59. It should be mostly sunny.
Appreciate that. If you're just waking up, we're talking about Illinois legislature failed to pass a bill for the Bears overnight. They passed a $56 billion budget, all sorts of new taxes on the people, but they won't care if they haven't moved yet. It's on them. But they were trying to pass the stadium last minute sort of Hail Mary stadium authority bill, where essentially the Bears would build their stadium. So they would pay for it. They would build it, and then they would give it to Arlington Heights or potentially Chicago, and then not pay sales tax on it or property tax on it. So I asked the question, can I do that with my house? Can I give the town my house and say, hey, I'm going to give you my house. I'm going to stop paying property taxes on it, and I'm going to keep living there. Can I get that deal? Can I go any local community want to let me build a factory in your community? I will build it. I will give it to you, and then I will pay no taxes on it. Can I get that deal? Can Chuck Coe build a factory in your community where I give you my building and I pay no taxes on it? Is that a possibility? If anybody would like to offer me that, if any local community would like to give me that sweetheart of a deal, 219-845-1100. I don't know what we're going to build in the factory. Maybe we will build batteries. Maybe we will build Chuck branded 9-volt batteries so that that will be our goal. Make America chirp less again. How about that? Get rid of chirping. If you're just tuning in, what's the chirping? Well, my buddy Ron called in earlier. He had the chirp, and it got to me. It got me going. Just like Trucker Mike called a few weeks ago, and he was chirping for a while. Ron called in. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to have Spring Chuckin' or Summer of Chuck branded 9-volt batteries. If you call in and your smoke detector is chirping in the background, I'm going to stop the show. We're going to go to your house. We're going to do a Facebook Live on WJOB where I replace your smoke detector for you. That's how we're going to make America great again. I'm going to replace smoke detector. That's what we'll do. We're going to start going to people's houses and replacing smoke detector batteries. Okay, I'm going to take a breath. We have calls?
Got two.
2 calls? Okay, let's take a call. Good morning, caller on here.
Speaking of Uncle Ron, I was amused by his reaction to your comments about the fact that Chicago mayor's office has been dominated by blacks, and yet there is the taxpayers are done to the amount of roughly $200 million a year in terms of dealing with suits involved claiming police brutality.
So Walt, so here's the thing. Like, say, let's read through this again. This is from WTTW. This is from April. They said this is just the city of Chicago, the city's 2026 budget set aside $82 million. $82 million. And authorized officials to borrow an additional $283 million to cover the soaring cost of lawsuits alleging wrongdoing by police officers. So that puts you in the neighborhood of like 300 and, almost $400 million. So again, when you guys talk about Trump and this fund, that seems like a lot of money. The city of Chicago spends that much in just a few years. Just the city of Chicago spends that much money dealing with wrongful convictions, police misconduct settlement. I mean, that's the reality. Again, and that was my point, is that this has been democratically controlled city for over 100 years. There is a black mayor. There is a diverse city council. And yet they still have these issues where you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on police brutality. Right. I mean, so the question that I have is, why don't we deal with that issue and save the hundreds of millions of dollars as opposed to being outraged on the back end because Trump or whoever? I mean, that's the thing. Why are we not talking about why that's happening? Why are we not trying to? That's the problem, Walt. We're always treating the symptoms. We never want to get to the root cause of, like, why are we spending billions of dollars every year settling police brutality suits? And why aren't we trying to get to the root cause of why that's happening? I mean, call me crazy. Maybe we just not have to worry about it in the first place. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, for Ron, and that is pervasive in the black community, at least 80% of blacks carry around with them the idea that whatever failings that exist in the black community or by black people, it's always whitey's fault. And you're hinting, and from the way he processes all issues through race, what he hears is you're deflecting responsibility away from white people.
Right. And, again, Mom Donnie is the governor, is the mayor of New York. Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, and all of those cities are spending tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars every year to settle these police brutality. Why are they not addressing that? Well, I've not heard Brandon Johnson. Maybe they do, but I've not heard about it. I've not heard them saying, hey, what if I could save hundreds of millions of dollars a year if we get to the root cause of why we have these police brutality lawsuits? And instead, we talk about Trump. I mean, that's my point, is that it happens on both sides. It's happening in Democratic cities. It's happening in Republican cities. It's happening everywhere. But you only get outraged when Trump does it. Why are we not talking about this at a bigger level?
Well, the white boys did fault.
Right. That's the question. Right. Exactly.
This is always white people responsible. Always.
Right. So, I mean, again,
blacks are 13% of the population that commits over 50% of the murders. That's white people's fault.
But again,
let's talk about something.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about something you brought up a couple of weeks ago, and that is that you lived on Magoon Avenue in East Chicago.
Oh, my grandparents lived on Magoon. So my grandparents, so I grew up in Roxana, but my grandparents were on Magoon, just a few, basically across the street from City Hall, just a few houses down from the Elks Lodge when we were talking about the Jay Given murder. So that's, I spent a lot of time, but I spent a lot of time there with my grandparents on Magoon. So I spent a lot of time growing up there. I used to play on the tank over there at City Hall. One of my favorite stories, Walt, I'm going to digress for a second, Walt. When I was a kid, you remember they used to have the tank there at City Hall, and they had the park there. I would go there. Yep. I would go there in the afternoons, and I would play in the park. And every once in a while, Mayor Pastrick would come up and meet us kids and shake our hands and give us some of that, as I call it, the old people candy, like a Werther's. So every once in a while, Mayor Pastrick would walk through the park, shake our hands, give us some candy. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, Walt. But then I realized years later, do you know why he was walking around the park at the end of the day? Because the FBI had his phone tapped. So if he wanted to have a conversation with somebody, he had to go outside and have a conversation in private at the park because the FBI, bugged his office. So yeah, hey, it was neat. I was meeting my mayor, but the only reason he was out there is because, his office was bugged.
Of course.
But, hey, I got to meet the mayor. That was neat.
I had personally a lot of connections to Magoon Avenue. For example, the family doctor, Dr. Benchik's office was on Magoon Avenue, just south of Chicago Avenue. Mm-hmm. I got my polio shots there. I attended McKinley Elementary School on Magoon Avenue. The first job I had as a kid was delivering once a week a Polish language newspaper out of Chicago. And the agent for the area was a bicycle shop on Magoon Avenue. So I picked up the Polish papers at the bicycle shop on Magoon Avenue. And then after a year of doing that, a friend of mine offered me his route on Magoon Avenue out of Nassau and Thompson. Where they were the agents responsible.
Oh yeah, right there on the corner. Yeah, right.
Times, Post Tribune, and then the two Chicago papers, and I delivered those morning and afternoon. And it's been a lot of time at Kosciuszko Park, Koski Park as we called it, and Magoon, of course, runs right into Koski Park.
So Walt,
very familiar place.
Yeah, you grew up in that time. I kind of, we'll put it this way, I caught the tail end of that where we used to, you could still walk to the corner store. There used to be little, the 5 and dime, the candy shop. Like I used to go to the candy shop. I went to St. Stan's. I'd sneak off before school and run over to the candy shop. And back when, even then, candy was still like a nickel or a quarter over there. But, and this is what I always think about when people talk about like downtown Hammond, like this idea that we're going to spend, continue to spend hundreds of millions of dollars trying to revitalize these downtown areas. I think that time has passed, Walt. I don't think that there's any scenario where you can revitalize a downtown area and bring that back. I don't think that we can ever bring back the corner store, the corner tavern. It's over. I mean, it's over. And even this idea that places like down south, St. John or Crown Point, they're trying to bring that back and create these community centers. It's over. I wish I often say, Walt, if there was one thing I wish I could do, I wish I could take my kids back to East Chicago in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like if my kids could spend a day playing at the park and walking around East Chicago the way I did or the way you did, riding our bikes, those days are over. That generation is never going to experience that. And there's nothing we can do to bring that back, but that's the reality. So we knew our neighbors, you knew everybody on the block and all that kind of stuff. And, the neighbors would bring you leftovers, bring you a pie or whatever. And you'd bring them, my grandma would say, go run this pie across the street. And, we don't do that anymore. I wish we could. I wish we could bring that back, but we can't. It is what it is. So anything else, Walt?
Well, East Chicago in those old golden days was truly a diverse community. People from many different backgrounds.
Right.
And when I say diversity, I mean real diversity, not the government or the Democrats' concept of diversity, which is purely racist.